we were coming in on a bus, about 40 of us from New Credit, and the bus driver got lost. We got caught in a traffic jam. And time we got there, the event was on, and the minister of the day was Sheila Copps, and she says, "You're late." And I said that statement back to her that day. But just the inclusion of, getting involved in a variety of events over the years, some, not very big events, but still, being part of groups like yours or other historical groups who are recognizing that we were there, and I have a line, we were there and we're still here. And that's so to bring those two parts of our history together, that we still exist somewhere on the land here, and like the Humber River project, designating that as the Humber River, and recognizing the importance of the Carrying Place Trail all up the Humber. It was, not only our ancestors' roadway, highway, method of surviving, but also it became almost the building block for this area, and that it linked the northern parts, resources, and the, powers that be into the southern part, down to to Niagara. So the trail there is important. There's other trails, but that one was very significant, the Humber River one. And there's some amazing stories that were brought to life through the Humber River. And we have some, I talk about the designs on the Humber River right around the old mill area there. We designated an area for the four different groups, 3 different groups, and that the moccasins are imprinted and dotems are imprinted on rocks around there, and there's historical plaques to link us to those things, and that there's also in that your park a fire. I made a note when you were saying that there was you said there was bonfires at that event. Fire is very important to the First Nations people, and that is part of our ceremonies, and that we cannot come to the city and have a fire anymore. Because fire in buildings and cities just don't work well together. But we over at Fort York, we get away with having a fuel of fires. It's all inside that, the blockades and the barriers there, and now nobody tell on me. We sneak in and we go down to the island and we have a fire out on the water side. Yeah. We just don't tell anybody. We come and do the ceremony and we're in and out. But doing what we call our duty to honor the waters and the lands of our ancestors, we come around and do that. Last time we had a fire there, I think there was about 120 people who got wind of it and all went down to the others on the beach side, and we had a nice little ceremony there. And that, so the trail that's coming in along the Ontario Park Place, the new trail, is important to us to link us up again with the island lands, and then the waters there, and then the subsequent link up to the other paths that are going to be put there. But the Humber River is very significant for us. If you didn't know, the big tree at the Humber River is being cut down today. They figure it's about 350 years old. They've already cut the branches off. It's overlooks the Humber there. It's an amazing tree. I can go like this, and that's only I need to do that 4 times to get around the tree. So at 1, we're going to be going 6. 6, okay. 6 of us. 6 of us to put it, yeah, we've been over there, we go visit the tree. And that's, so the story it could tell. And there's lots of things like that should be a marker place, because there's even, we believe with all the people who live there, that tree, and then other trees further up, they were marker points. Like what the Inukshuk is to the Inuit, where it signifies the path or something further down. The trees were used the same way. So for us, those areas there are significant. And that I'll let Madeleine say some more about our linkages there.
Well, the Toronto Carrying Place, the Humber is the Toronto River. Simcoe changed the name. And Toronto means trees reflected in the water, or a place of plenty or a place of many. And the trees that were reflected in the water were stakes that were driven in to function as fish weirs. And Lake Simcoe was Lake Toronto, and Toronto was all of southwestern Ontario, where there was plenty of water. And the portage along the Humber, following the high ground, dates back at least 4,000 years, and it was a link in the trade route between the Gulf of Mexico and the north shore of Lake Superior. There were copper mines on the north shore of Lake Superior, and the goods that went up and down the trail were tobacco and chert. Like if you didn't have stone to make arrowheads, you would get it from someplace else, and furs, various trade goods. And this was discovered by the French and then promoted further by the British. And it was a wonderful route through the bush. Alexander Henry in 1764-65 had been taken prisoner in the Pontiac Wars up at Michilimackinac, and a group of Mississaugas brought him down through Lake Simcoe and down the Toronto Portage to here in Toronto, where they stopped and built 2 canoes and paddled across the lake to Fort Niagara. And they did all this in 4 days, building the canoes included.
It's very interesting to me. If you read John Ralston Stall's A Fair Country, he talks about how many of our Canadian traditions come from the period before the British, when the French and First Nations collaborated, exchanged, and kind of developed a common culture. What I find very interesting in Sharon's talk is the idea that the national style in 1867 should be French, not British, not American. Which, I mean, and I think we all agree that we're Canada is still kind of caught between Britain and the U.S. and we're never, we're still struggling with that. But I just think that I don't know how that happens or where it comes from, but this notion of this is the French or the fresh, up-to-date style, but it's French. That, like, I don't know how much we can make of that or whether we should even try, but it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Maybe we should have asked John Ralston Stall what he thinks of that.
Yeah, well, and what I said that Langley had replied was had stated was that it was a style that was even gaining favor in England. So it wasn't that they were completely not reminded of their architectural heritage through England. They saw it there as well. I think it had less to do with nationality and more to do with modernism. Being of the time and not being the old way, but really, and that's where this kind of celebration, 1867. That must have been an amazing moment to think this is this is what a new country, and so I think it had more to do with that.
Yeah, I heard Chief Laflamme speak about Canada 150 and not his party.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly.
I think maybe we just leave it there. And
Yeah.
this is what we want you to be thinking about as we move into this afternoon's conversation. Yes.
Comment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of forgot to say this. It's something I've always wanted to. I better write it down in my presentation. That I've been promoting this visualization of that. When I drive down here, or up here to Toronto, that I do not see. We as First Nations people do not see ourselves in this place. We can relate with the water and the trees, and the natural areas. And so I've been on this campaign for visualization. And so as the architectural community, that it appears to be all about built history. But, I was impressed with Raymond, the video where he talks about the building is about outside, and it's also about connecting what's inside you see outside, but thinking about the future outside there in the walk and the trees and stuff like that. And that we did a presentation of a architectural person has done his thesis on recovering the Mississaugas on the credit. And we were at U of T there a couple of years back, and we presented about his why we need to see ourselves there. And an architect from, and maybe somebody was even there. It was, I think, June 4th, 2014, and that they had this international conference there. And one of the architects said, I want to have a question to the Indigenous community there, the presenters there. And I was the only one there, but Ollie was with me. And he said, it seems to me, and he made this point twice, and I interpret the point as, I don't have the North American hang-up. And he said, I'm not from this country. And as it turned out, he was from Italy. And he said, it seems to me that you just want something back. You want to recover something. And he says, he goes, if you hire me to build that building out there, and I put a symbol that you recognize incorporated into the building, he goes, are you going to be happy? Is that all you want? And so I thought, well, this is the question. I'm promoting that I start to see myself through symbolism. And so I stood there and I said, you know what? I don't think I can answer that question. I said, but I'll tell you. When I think about all the things that our people have lost, I said, it's overwhelming. So yes, if I see a symbol on that building that tells me that I'm recognized and honored, I'll be happy. Just a start.
Thank you for that. Lunch is ready, yes. So go and help yourselves. There's tables where you can sit down and eat, or if you'd like to go out onto the balcony, and we have access out to the balconies.
Yeah, I know. I went out there and there's a sign that says